Every ancient culture has a myth about a passage to the underworld, a place where the rules of our world no longer apply. For modern man, these are just fairy tales. But what if one was real? In a quiet corner of America, a story has been passed down for decades about a hole that goes on forever, a place that swallows sound and seems to repel life itself. They call it Mel's Hole.
There are a couple aspects of Mel's Hole, paranormal aspects that make it intriguing. One of them is a supposed black beam that emits from the hole.
Recently, a daring expedition sent an AI drone to scan its depths, and what they found suggests the old myths weren't just stories, they were warnings. The Devil's Chimney. Out in the rugged heart of Washington State, near a place called Manastish Ridge, the land keeps a secret. You see, this isn't your everyday patch of wilderness. Many people are crazy about the beautiful scenery, but there's something here that doesn't belong. It's a legend, a campfire story that turned into an internet obsession. They call it Mel's Hole. The story exploded into the public consciousness back in 1997 when a man named Mel Waters called into a late-night radio show. What he described wasn't just a hole, it was a wound in the world. Mel claimed he had a pit on his property that was, for all intents and purposes, bottomless. He'd tried to measure it, lowering a fishing line with a 1-pound weight. He spooled out 15 miles of line, that's over 79,000 feet, and never hit a thing. No splash, no thud, just an endless, hungry void. The thing nobody tells you is just how bizarre the other details were. Mel said that dogs, normally brave and loyal, would tuck their tails and refuse to go anywhere near the hole. Birds would divert their flight paths, creating an eerie cone of silence in the sky directly above it. The air around the rim felt different, heavier, and the silence. The silence was the most unnerving part. People would toss massive objects into it, old refrigerators, dead livestock, you name it. But there was never a sound, no crash, no echo, just gone. Mel even claimed a neighbor had tossed his departed canine companion into the hole, only for the dog to come trotting back from the woods days later, alive and well, but fundamentally changed. This wasn't just a geological oddity, it was a place where the rules of reality seemed to bend and break. A place that felt ancient and aware. The local Native American tribes had legends about it, calling it the Devil's Chimney, a place to be avoided at all costs. According to their lore, it was a gateway, a place where things could come in and out. They said it emitted a sound, a low hum that you felt in your bones more than you heard with your ears. A sound like the world breathing in its sleep. For years, Mel's story was just that, a story. A fantastic tale for conspiracy forums and late-night radio junkies. But then the story took a dark turn. After Mel went public, he claimed his life was turned upside down. Unmarked government vehicles began appearing on the roads near his property. Men in black suits, he said, came and told him there had been a plane crash and the area was now off limits. They offered him a handsome sum of money, $25,000 a month, to lease his land and leave the country. He was told to keep quiet or things could get difficult. Terrified, Mel took the deal and vanished, supposedly to Australia. The hole, once a local curiosity, was now seemingly a matter of national security. For years, silence fell over Manastish Ridge. But you know how these things go. A secret that big can't stay buried forever. In the age of the internet, a new generation of sleuths became obsessed with finding Mel's Hole. They scoured satellite images hunting for the telltale circular patch of land. And they found it. But as soon as the coordinates were posted online, something strange happened. The spot on public mapping tools was suddenly blurred out, hidden from view, just like a top-secret military base. The cover-up was real. And that just made people more determined to find out what they were hiding. That curiosity would lead a new team right to the edge of the abyss. Beyond the point of no return. Enter the 21st century. The legend of Mel's Hole had become a digital ghost story, but for a privately funded research group, the Odyssey Initiative, it was the ultimate challenge. This wasn't some amateur ghost hunting crew. These were serious people, geologists, physicists, and robotics engineers. They believed that where folklore and fear intersect, a scientific discovery is often waiting to be made. Their plan was ambitious, some would say reckless. They were going to do what no one had ever done before: send a probe into the heart of the anomaly. But not just any probe. They designed Hades, an AI-powered exploration drone built to withstand conditions that would crush a nuclear submarine. Hades was a marvel of modern engineering, about the size of a small car, equipped with a shell of reinforced titanium alloy. It had ground-penetrating radar, magnetic sensors, atmospheric samplers, and high-definition cameras that could practically see in the dark. Its AI could make independent decisions, navigating complex environments, and analyzing data in real time. This was the most advanced exploration drone ever built, and its first mission was to solve the mystery of Mel's Hole. Finding the location was the first hurdle. The Odyssey Initiative used declassified satellite photos from the 70s and cross-referenced them with the online coordinates before they were scrubbed. After weeks of searching, they found it, hidden in a remote, fenced-off area patrolled by private security. But not all things are what they seem. The team found a way in, operating under the cover of night. The site was just as the legends described. There was an unnerving silence that seemed to swallow sound. The air felt static, making the hair on their arms stand up. And there it was. A perfectly circular hole in the earth, about 9 feet in diameter, with a dark metallic-looking rim that didn't look like natural rock. It looked manufactured. The team set up their equipment, their hearts pounding with a mix of excitement and primal fear. The mission, codenamed Operation Abyss, was a go. At 0300 hours, Hades was lowered over the edge. Its powerful lights switched on, cutting a brilliant white cone into the oppressive blackness. But the light seemed to just get eaten. It didn't reflect off any walls. The drone began its descent, and the data started streaming back to the mobile command center. The first 500 feet were uneventful, but then the first anomaly appeared. The temperature, which should have been increasing with depth, began to plummet. At 1,000 feet, it was below freezing. At 2,000 feet, it was hitting temperatures you'd find on a polar ice shelf. The geologists were stunned. This was impossible. There's no geological model that can explain that kind of temperature gradient. But that was only the beginning. The drone's audio sensors, designed to pick up the faintest seismic rumbles, were registering absolute silence. A true 0 decibel environment, something that doesn't exist in nature. It was as if the hole was actively canceling out sound. The team watched, their faces pale in the glow of the monitors. The drone was descending deeper into a place that was not just empty, but fundamentally wrong. And then, something flickered on the camera feed. The anomaly comes up. The drone, Hades, passed the 10,000-foot mark. Miles below the surface, the pressure should have been immense, the heat unbearable, yet the external sensors showed near 0 atmospheric pressure and a temperature of negative 100 degrees Fahrenheit. It was like flying through the vacuum of space, not tunneling through the Earth's crust. The science team was frantically trying to make sense of the data, but none of it aligned with known physics. The thing nobody tells you about moments like these is the feeling of intellectual vertigo, the sensation of everything you thought you knew being ripped away. The scientists were no longer just observing, they were witnessing the impossible. Then, the flicker. On the main camera feed, a brief flash of light appeared in the distance, just at the edge of the drone's powerful beams. The AI immediately tagged it as an unidentified photonic emission. It wasn't a reflection, It was a source. The team directed Hades to move towards the source. As it descended further, more lights appeared. They were small like fireflies, and they moved with intelligent patterns, zipping through the void and circling the drone as if they were curious. The magnetometer, which had been stable, suddenly went wild. It was detecting a powerful, fluctuating magnetic field, but one with a complex, repeating structure. It was a signal. It was organized almost like a language. The team could only watch in stunned silence. What were they looking at? Bioluminescent organisms in a place with no life, or something far, far stranger? The AI on board Hades began cross-referencing the magnetic signal with every known database of natural and man-made signals. It found no match. This was something entirely new. The drone was now at an estimated depth of 50,000 feet, almost 10 miles down. The ground-penetrating radar, which should have been mapping rock layers, showed nothing. No walls, no floor. The void was as empty as ever. But then a new reading came in from the forward-facing sonar. The sonar, which paints a picture using sound waves, detected a massive object below. But that didn't make sense. How could sonar work in a vacuum with no sound? The physicist on the team theorized that the hole wasn't a true vacuum, but was filled with some kind of exotic medium that didn't interact with most matter, but could carry certain frequencies. The object it detected was colossal, several miles in diameter, and its shape was impossible. It wasn't a rock formation, it was a perfect geometric structure, a massive flat disk just hanging in the darkness. It was a platform, a floor. The drone had found the bottom. But the discovery of a bottom was infinitely more terrifying than the idea of a bottomless pit. Because a structure that large, that deep, and that geometrically perfect could not be natural. It had to be built. Who or what could build something like that so deep inside our planet? A face in the static. The drone, Hades, approached the colossal structure. Its light swept across a surface that defied explanation. It wasn't stone or metal, it was a smooth, black material that seemed to absorb light, making it incredibly difficult to see. The material was giving off the intense cold that the drone had been registering. It was as if the structure itself was a giant heat sink, drawing all the thermal energy out of its surroundings. The AI's material scanner fired a laser at the surface, analyzing the reflected light. The results that came back made the lead engineer physically recoil from his screen. The material wasn't made of any known elements. Its atomic structure was complex and stable, but it didn't match anything on the periodic table. It was, for lack of a better term, alien. As Hades flew over the vast, dark platform, it saw something that made every scientist in the room go cold. Carved into the surface were lines, trenches. They were arranged in patterns that were undeniably artificial. They looked like circuits, or perhaps like a map of stars, but not any star system visible from Earth. Then the true WTF moment arrived. The AI alerted them to a change in the drone's camera feed. A subtle distortion was appearing in the video. At first, they thought it was a malfunction caused by the intense magnetic field, but the distortion grew, coalescing. It was like heat haze, but in a sub-zero environment. The haze began to form a shape. It was tall and thin, humanoid, but elongated and twisted. It looked like a figure made of liquid shadow, a ripple in the fabric of space itself. It had no discernible features, yet the team had the overwhelming impression that it was looking right at them, through the drone's camera, across 10 miles of impossible abyss. One of the scientists simply whispered, "Oh my God." The shadowy figure raised a long, spindly arm. The moment it did, every sensor on the drone went haywire. The lights flickered and died. The magnetic field spiked to impossible levels. The last image the team saw before the feed cut out was the shadow figure seeming to reach out and touch the drone's camera lens. Then static, and then nothing. The connection was severed. The $15 million drone, along with all its data, was gone. The team sat in stunned, horrified silence for what felt like an eternity. They had stared into the abyss and something had stared back. They hadn't just found a hole. They had found a structure made of impossible materials displaying a map of an alien star system, guarded by an entity that defied the laws of physics. The implications were staggering. Was Mel's Hole a natural phenomenon? Number. It was a piece of technology, a gateway, or maybe a prison. The team packed up their gear in a panicked frenzy. They knew they had stumbled upon a secret that powerful people wanted to keep hidden. The pale, terrified faces of these brilliant scientists were a testament to what they had seen. They had gone looking for the bottom of a hole and found the bottom of their understanding of the universe. What do you think is really going on at Mel's Hole? Is it a doorway to another dimension or the most elaborate prank in history? Let us know your theories in the comments below. And if you want to explore more mysteries that science can't explain, make sure to like this video and subscribe.